The Dark History of Alcatraz, America's Most Haunted Prison. Alcatraz Island lies cold and silent in the middle of San Francisco Bay. To tourists, it's a place of fascination, but for decades, it was a place of fear. Between 1934 and 1963, Alcatraz was home to some of the most violent and notorious criminals in American history. Yet the walls of this prison hold more than stories of crime. They echo with suffering, desperation, and whispers from beyond the grave. Before it became a prison, Alcatraz served as a military fort. Its isolated position in the bay made it perfect for defense, and later, for imprisonment. In 1934, as crime and gangster activity peaked during the Great Depression, the US government decided it needed a prison that no one could escape. A place for the men too dangerous, too unpredictable, and too rebellious for any other prison to contain. That's when Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary was born. Every part of its design was meant to break the human spirit. The cells were small and cold, measuring only 5 feet wide and 9 feet long. Each prisoner had a bed, a sink, and a toilet, nothing more. For many inmates, life inside Alcatraz was psychological torture. Silence was enforced. Talking was limited to brief moments during meals or recreation. Disobedience meant being locked in the hole, a pitch-black isolation cell with no light, no sound, and no human contact. Some prisoners said after spending days there, they started hearing things, whispers, screams, or their own voices talking back to them. Alcatraz wasn't just another prison, it was a fortress surrounded by nature's most effective barrier, water. The freezing currents of the San Francisco Bay made escape nearly impossible. The waters could reach as low as 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and the tides were strong enough to pull even experienced swimmers out to sea. Guards used to say that the island didn't need walls, the ocean was the wall. Over the years, Alcatraz housed 1,576 prisoners. Many were famous. There was Al Capone, the ruthless Chicago mob boss who controlled an empire of bootlegging and murder during Prohibition. When he arrived at Alcatraz, his power meant nothing. The silence and isolation slowly destroyed him. By the time he left, he was broken, mentally and physically. Then there was George, Machine Gun, Kelly, a gangster known for kidnapping and bank robberies, who often bragged about his crimes. On Alcatraz, his loud mouth earned him endless punishment and silence. And there was Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. Despite the name, he was never allowed to keep birds here. He spent years in solitary confinement, studying and writing about avian diseases, but most of all, losing his sanity to loneliness. Between 1934 and 1963, there were 14 known escape attempts, involving 36 prisoners. Most failed within minutes. Some were shot, others drowned, and a few simply vanished. But one escape would capture the imagination of the world, the 1962 escape by Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers. Frank Morris was known for his intelligence, an IQ of 133. The Anglin brothers, John and Clarence, were expert bank robbers and skilled with tools. Together, the three men spent months secretly digging through the walls behind their cells using sharpened spoons and pieces of metal. They hid the holes with cardboard and built fake heads from soap, toilet paper, and human hair collected from the barbershop. At night, they placed the fake heads on their pillows to trick the guards during head count. Piece by piece, they built a raft and life vests out of over 50 raincoats, glued together with stolen rubber cement. On the night of June 11, 1962, they made their move. They crawled through the holes, climbed up utility pipes, and reached the roof. Under the cover of darkness, they carried the raft to the shoreline, inflated it, and pushed off into the freezing black waters of San Francisco Bay. By morning, their cells looked occupied, until a guard reached for one of the heads, and it rolled onto the floor. The alarm was raised, but the men were already gone. The Coast Guard searched for weeks. Pieces of the raft were found, and a life jacket washed ashore. But their bodies were never recovered. The FBI declared they had drowned. Yet over the years, new evidence has surfaced, photographs, alleged letters, and even confessions suggesting that at least one of them survived and lived under a new identity. To this day, no one knows for certain what happened that night. The mystery remains open, and Alcatraz's legend grew even darker because of it. By 1963, the prison had become too expensive to maintain. The buildings were falling apart, and the salt air had corroded the steel. The government shut it down permanently, ending nearly 30 years of brutality, silence, and despair. But the spirits of the past didn't leave with the guards. Soon after its closure, stories began to spread. Visitors reported feeling sudden drops in temperature. Some claimed to hear footsteps when no one was there. Others swore they heard moaning, or the sound of cell doors slamming shut. Guards who worked there long ago described hearing cries for help echoing through cell block D, the same block that contained the hole. Even today, tourists report eerie experiences in that part of the prison. Cameras malfunction, cold winds blow through sealed rooms, and tour guides say that sometimes, the energy changes completely. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that Alcatraz has a presence, one that time hasn't erased. The island stands as a monument to punishment, isolation, and the unbreakable will to escape. It's a place where history and legend are forever trapped together, surrounded by cold waters and darker secrets. Today, Alcatraz attracts more than 1 million visitors every year. People come to walk through the same narrow halls, stare into the cells of infamous criminals, and feel the chilling atmosphere that still lingers. Some come for the history, others for the mystery. But everyone leaves with one thought: the rock never really let anyone go. Call to action outro. If this story gave you chills or made you see Alcatraz in a new light, give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves dark history and real-life mysteries. For more stories of forgotten events, strange places, and haunting truths from around the world, subscribe to the Untold World and turn on notifications. Because every week, we uncover another piece of the past that refuses to stay buried.